Welcome to the 12 steps of an accurate and useful appraisal. My name is Gerhard Klein. I'm the owner of Northern Lights Appraisals, and we've been appraising Edmonton. We have experience of over 30 years. I personally have done about 6,000 appraisals as of the date of recording this video. Now, the point of today's video is that I'd like to give you steps so that you can get the most out of the appraisal process. And of course, it depends on the reason that you're getting an appraisal done. But we've tried to develop a list based on our experience with clients to give you steps to take so that you'll get the most out of your next appraisal. So first of all, the first 8 steps are before the appointment, okay? So step number 1 is, let's say that you're doing a refinance or you're even looking to sell a property that you currently have. You want to complete a walkthrough of the property prior to the appraisal. You want to fix any curb appeal issues. So if you've got flaking paint or things that need to be fixed, you want to take care of those issues, because an appraiser is coming in, they're looking at your property as if a buyer would on the date that they come and view it. So take care of all those things beforehand, or if there was renovations you were going to do, you may want to have those done. Now, another thing is you want to create a list of updating that you've done that you can give the appraiser when they come. So you want to let them know, when was the roof last done? What kind of work have you done, if you've maybe done some landscaping or updated the furnace or fixed some flooring. Okay, point number 2 is get informed. Find out what's happening in the market. Now, one way you can very easily do this nowadays, you can just jump onto MLS and at least you can have a look at what is being actively listed. Unfortunately, you don't have access to what's been sold. You can get this through a realtor as well. But at least that's going to start to give you a picture of what's selling in your market. And keep in mind that appraisers actually use what has sold, not active listings. Because an active listing, you can list a house for whatever you want. But only when a property sells do we then have an idea, and does that give the actual data that the market has spoken. Point number 3 is, if you are doing a purchase, always insert a financing condition and don't remove that until your bank tells you to remove it. Now, the reason is that it's not just a value from the appraisal that banks are looking at. There's a lot of other factors that come into play. So it's not just a matter of saying, hey, I purchased it for $350,000 and the appraisal came back at $351,000, I'm okay. Make sure that the bank says, yes, we're good to go. Point number 4 is you want to check your appraiser's current status, and with RECA, you can do that on their website. Now, that's the Real Estate Council of Alberta. Their website is www.reca.ca. And you can also check with both the Institute of Canada or the Canadian National Association of Real Estate Appraisers, and they will both be able to tell you the status of your appraiser. I also encourage people to look for testimonials or get references from the appraiser. You can typically do that on their website as well. Okay, number 5 is you want to be clear with your appraiser on exactly what type of property it is that they're appraising. So is this an acreage? Is it a multifamily property? Is it just a house in the city? The second thing you want to be very clear on is, what's the purpose? Is this for a refinance? Are you purchasing? Are you thinking of listing? Is it for a matrimonial case? All of those things you want to be clear, because the appraiser needs to be clear in the report as to the purpose of why they're doing it, and it can impact what type of research and whatnot they need to do. Point number 6, manage expectations. Now, with this, you want to make sure you're going to meet the timelines for whatever it is you're trying to achieve. So you want to talk to the appraiser beforehand and say, hey, listen, how much time is this going to take for you until you get my report back? If you have a closing, this is going to be particularly important to you because you need to make sure that they can get you your report back in time. The appraiser needs to have enough time to book an appointment, come and see the property, do their research, and then write the report. And writing the report and doing the research are actually where the appraiser spends most of their time. The appraisal appointment itself is usually quite quick. It's the other parts that take an appraiser most of their time. Point number 7 is, if you are doing some sort of financing, you want to make sure that that appraiser is on the on the lender's approved list of appraisers. You can always ask the appraiser if they're on that list, and that's a really important point because a lot of banks have lists. Point number 8, which is the last part of what to do before the appraisal appointment, is once you've booked that appraisal, you want to make sure that you've been clear. If you're dealing with a lender, you want to communicate with them and letting them know, yes, the appraisal's been booked, it's happening on Monday, etc., so that everyone's in the loop. Okay, so now you've booked the appraisal appointment and you've done all those things. Now you're actually at the appraisal appointment itself. My first recommendation, which is point 9, is be there in person. If you're there, you can explain and answer all of the appraiser's questions if you already own the house. You can present them with your list of updating that I referred to earlier. And if you're purchasing the property, this just gives you another chance to walk through the property, and you're going to be with another real estate expert, and they may point things out that you may have missed. You'll also have another chance to see the house, and you may notice things that you missed. So I really encourage and recommend that you take advantage of that opportunity. If you are located in a smaller town, it's nice to have a copy of your tax assessment or some other documentation for the appraiser, because that helps confirm the legal address, the size of the property, and that sort of thing that's not as readily available. Okay, point number 10, if you're doing a renovation, it's very important that you have details for the appraiser at the appointment. If you know what type of renos are happening exactly, quotes, estimates, that sort of thing, because some lenders will allow the appraiser to value it as complete, and you need to be able to give that appraiser as much detailed information as possible. So the more information you give, the better quality of an appraisal you will get back in return. Now, point number 11 is for rental properties, it's very important that you actually have a copy of leases that the appraiser can see at the appraisal appointment, so they can see what the contract rent is. It's also good if you can do some homework on websites like Kijiji or local websites like a Rent Faster or Rent Edmonton, etc., to show them that these are also current market rents. Use newspapers, etc. And if you have that homework done, that will help as well to make sure that they can justify the rents that you're currently charging. Now, after the appraisal appointment, I recommend that if you're able to, you get a copy of the appraisal and you can read through it. If you're purchasing, it's good to look through that and see if the appraiser had brought up any points that might be of interest to you. If you're doing a refinance, you might also, see some recommendations or notes in there. And it's not always easy to get a copy if you're dealing with a lender, but I do encourage you to try. And at least if you have questions, then you can talk with the appraiser and get clarification. So those are the 12 steps of how to get an accurate and useful appraisal. I encourage you to look at the resources on our website, northernlightsappraisals.ca, or by all means give us a call, 780-757-2060. Thanks so much for watching, and we hope we can be of service to you in the near future.